Thanks for clicking on the video, and here on Mimic, I'm presenting an old comic. This is Giant-Sized Conan the Barbarian, and this is issue number 5, published in 1975, so many decades ago. So this Giant-Sized Conan, there were actually only 5 issues. I have the rest over here. These 4 we'll talk about in a different day. They have new artwork and lead to a novelization basically of Conan the Conqueror. This issue is a little different. This actually contains 3 reprint stories, but there's something very special about this issue, and I'll tell you all about it in a bit. Welcome to the channel where we talk about not just D&D, but also board games and comics, technology on Saturdays, and gamer snacks on Sundays. And we also do monthly giveaways, and this is our giveaway for the month of November. I'll put a link down below how you could win this original TSR module. You won the Sinister Secret of Saltmarch. We featured this recently. It's not our first module that we gave away, and it certainly won't be our last. This is the original module. It's not a reprint. It has a fold-out map and everything. And hopefully one of you lucky winners will enjoy this prize. If you're watching this from the future, I'm sure we have other giveaways going on, and you can click our main channel page for that information. These giant-sized Marvel comics generally was used as a vehicle to reprint stories or used as annuals. You could see here on the cover, this one says an annual collection of the most savage adventures. So yeah, reprinted adventures here. However, some of them did contain original adventures and stories, such as those first 4 issues of Conan. There's one really famous giant-sized issue that is unique and has an original story, and that's Giant-Sized X-Men #1. So that has the first presentation of the classic X-Men team and numerous first appearances of multiple X-Men classic characters that you know and love. So maybe we'll talk about that one day, but today we're going to talk about this particular comic. Let me get it out of the wrap first, and I'll tell you more about this, as well as a deeper dive into the stories within. So the first thing you would appreciate is this cover. Does it look reminiscent of someone you know? Well, this is done by Jack Kirby. Now, Jack Kirby, as you may or may not know, is one of the founding fathers of Marvel and co-created many of the classic characters that you see in the MCU. And this is the only cover he did featuring Conan. Now, Jack Kirby has a very unique, sort of rugged style that you can see here. I have to admit, I never really dig it as a child. You know, for example, if he was drawing Spider-Man or some of those other characters, I preferred more the like smoother, rounded look as opposed to this angular presentation. That being said, presenting Conan, I think it is a very nice fit. It is a rugged hero, and you can see how the depictions here lend it to a more brutal style. So I do think it is fitting for this comic. There's one other very interesting piece of trivia regarding this cover. Jack Lee did the artwork here. However, this face was redone by Remita at the instruction of the editor Stan Lee. Now, we don't know what the original face looked like, but we, of course, have the final version here. And you can see how these lines are a little bit more lighter, softer, rounded compared to these thick lines that Jack Kirby is known for. We do actually have access to the original artwork of this cover. I'll throw the penciling on the screen, and you can check out what the original one looked like without the coloration here. Here is the actual artwork for the cover. It's always cool to see the original artwork. However, we don't see the actual penciling. We see it touched up and inked already. Now, that's always very cool to see the original artwork. I know people like to collect comics. I certainly love to. I don't like to collect slabs, but slabs are, of course, a great way to present comics, but how cool would that be to own that original piece of artwork? Regardless, let's move on. You can see here on the cover 2 of the mightiest epic heroes ever, Conan and Elric. Yes, that's going to be Elric right here. He is the albino hero. You can see he sort of has a regular flesh tone here, not pure white as in the classic stories by Michael Moorcock. So this is sort of like a crossover tale in a way. So this reprints a story from Conan the Barbarian 14 and the follow-up story in 15. There's also a third story in here I'll talk about later. But let's crack this open now. And hopefully the light is bright enough that you can see the artwork here. So it does mention, here's the cover from issue number 14, cost only $26 back in the day. And this is titled A Sword Called Stormbringer. So most of these Conan stories have been authored by Roy Thomas, and these original issues, I think they go up to 24, is what Barry Smith drew. That includes, of course, the introduction of Red Sonja. There is a female, a damsel in distress, chased by some thugs, and of course, Conan spots this chase, and of course, is going to intervene and rescue this girl. Now, you can see how these are not horses. This is a horse, but this is not. This is reminds me of an axe-beak creature from Dungeons and Dragons. We'll move on here. Now, Barry Smith is known for fantastic artwork, but I have to admit, this is probably my least favorite page. As you can see, it's a little bit odd how these eyes are drawn so close together for Conan, not just there, but also down here. And for this female character as well, her eyes are just so drawn close together. I thought maybe it was the condensing of the artwork or something or formatting for this page, but it is not. This is the way it is supposed to be. So it's just really odd page to look at there. Anyways, he rescues this woman, and she turns out to be a daughter of a wizard that he fought before. Because he got injured, he cannot utilize powerful magic as much, but he still has some magical control. So he is asking Conan if he could find Kula Goth, who he can detect is doing some great evil magic or preparing for a gigantic, powerful spell that might tear the very fabric of space and time. So he is enlisting Conan's help for that. Let's move on. Here's an ad for Hostess fruit pies, if you remember those. On the opposite side of evil, they also have a evil sorceress, Zombar, and a knight who's quite strong and powerful, Gaynor. Here, Conan are approaching a evil stronghold. They come across a bridge. On this bridge, there is a blinding flash of light, and who is in the middle of that light? It turns out it's Elric of Melniboné. So you can see here, he's depicted quite white and pale, being albino. They have a clash, as Conan doesn't know if he's friend or foe, and basically they have even combat prowess. Conan also starts to hear that this black sword this warrior has is starting to moan. And he starts to refer it as having some magic. You may or may not be aware of that Elric is also famous for having this black sword called Stormbringer that devours souls and gives Elric, who's sickly, additional life. Let's move on. It always cracks me up to see some of these old ads, and I'm sure they sound like scams, don't they? Some of these things, like looking for a emergency 8-track siren tape, has 3 different loud sirens used to clear traffic and draw attention, and pay $4. $4 back then, it was quite a princely sum. I don't know why anyone would want to buy that or get it, or even if they would mail it to you. There was no guarantee. Regardless, Here we see another flash of light. Prince Gaynor of the Damned coming to stop these two heroes from interfering with the machinations of the evil forces. So because there was this rip in time and space, Elric of Melniboné and Conan have teamed up together. Sort of like a classic Marvel team up, but this time it's with Elric and Conan. Let's move on, but you can see some classic artwork here. Nice big full page battle scene. Here there is a storm that is called to interfere with the battle. They get out of the storm and realize they still got to pursue on. This is the second story. This is the Green Empress of Melniboné. And this was originally presented in Conan issue number 15. I believe they also show the original cover here. Maybe I missed it. Yeah, it was actually on the opposite page. Sorry about that. So they are continuing their adventure, heading towards the fortress of Kulangoth, and you can see Prince Gaynor is still alive. He is immortal, is cursed to not die. Of course, I'm giving you a quick summary of the story. Here, they have to head across a lake. They ride this interesting raft made of old bones of a giant creature. I think this is really cool artwork here. They finally encounter Kulangoth here, and he is in the middle of casting a spell. There is another bright flashing light, and of course it's another portal opening up, and out comes Prince Gaynor the Damned again. So Conan and Gaynor have another epic battle here. And during that epic battle, you could see that the wizard has time to complete his spell, and he has drawn out Terhali, the Green Empress of Melniboné. So she is one of the old deities in Michael Moorcock's story. That being said, here in Marvel, she's presented more as a demon. In the first battle with Gaynor, Conan slays him and comes back to life. Here, you can see Elric using Stormblade to put the killing blow on Gaynor, and he thinks that Dark Blade would actually kill him, but with its magical powers taking the souls, but no, it does not work, and he gets banished and sent back to his a different plane. Let's continue the story here. You can see the first thing that the Empress does is zap Kulangoth and kills him. So this is a greater evil than him. So Conan and Elric decide to, of course, attack this Green Empress. Elric with his Stormbringer, Conan with his faithful sword, and no, she is protected by some magical shield here. During this encounter, you can see the daughter of the wizard. She's calling upon a different deity on the side of good to help them out. And the father can sense this is going to happen, and you will kill her, you will kill my daughter if you use her as a vessel. But she states, I am your servant, Lord Arkan. Do with me as you will. So the divine power ends up being in her, and now they have a titanic battle between these two deity level. You can see here how the side of good defeats evil, but she herself is sacrificed to do this. And here is a little epilogue. You can see here how Elric, who by the way is not just a warrior, but he's also a sorcerer in his own right, opens up a portal and returns to his own place of space and time. Meanwhile, Conan returns the body of the daughter to her father, the wizard, and he sort of wants to team up with him if he can, but of course Conan will not have any of it. And this last splash page is quite beautiful here. He's just riding off to the sunset saying, "I will drink a toast to both the living and the dead in the first tavern I find. Farewell." Pretty classic end to a Conan story. So the third story is actually from Conan issue 12, so predates these. And this is an interesting story in the fact that Conan's not in this story. However, of course, it's supposed to take place in the Hyborian Age. So this story, there is a monster. The kingdom is being attacked by a large creature, and the Baron here wants their best fighter to defeat the monster. However, he's very selfish, so he doesn't really want to do it. However, the son says he will, so the son goes out, tries to slay the creature, but it turns out he never returns. So the Baron is very distraught by this and promises that anyone that could bring their son back and defeat the monster will own half of my kingdom and get the hand of my daughter. So of course that's going to be very appealing to this selfish fighter. So he goes out to encounter and defeat this monster. And you can see the depiction of this creature here, the High Dragon. It looks like a funny looking gigantic T-Rex with a Medusa type head. Regardless, I'm sure that would be very terrifying if that was in real life. This creature is supposed to be undefeatable, and that's part of the reason why he doesn't want to head out there and to fight this creature. However, once again, gaining half of the kingdom and the hand of the princess is just too high of a reward to pass up. So he has a special blade that he dipped in poison and hurls it at this High Dragon. So the beast is fallen, yet he still lives. And you can see that he's starting to change shape. And turns out, what does he change shape into? He changed shape into the fallen Baron's son. And now he's sort of stuck in a rough place because he is tasked to bring the son alive and prove that he killed the High Dragon, but he can't because the High Dragon body is gone and the prince or the son of the Baron is dead. The other thing that happens is you can see here that he is now touching the blood of that High Dragon and suddenly changes shape and turns into the High Dragon himself. And so you can see how this creature is never defeated because every time he does get defeated, he just comes back. It's a cool tale. It's reminiscent of Twilight Zone. They mentioned here that it's sort of like weird tales, but yeah, Twilight Zone is sort of what it reminds me of. I'm sure this story concept has been mimicked in many different media, not just comic books, but also TV episodes, I'm sure. I just can't remember any of them off the top of my head. If you do recall any, put a comment down below. I love to refresh my memory on those. That is it for this giant issue of Conan. So it is a regular size comic. It's not magazine size or anything like that. It's the same size as a regular comic, but it's giant size as far as the large pages. So thank you for watching my presentation of Giant-Sized Conan the Barbarian, issue number 5. I'll probably do other comic presentations in the future. This is not the first one we did. We've done others. I'm just trying to figure out how to film them the best or discuss them and review them. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. As always, it's always appreciated when you watch. Keep on adventuring out there.